What makes a truly bad movie really bad? Hi, I'm host Eric, host Talking to Famous People. And today we're talking film, we're talking movies. We're talking about bad movies in particular. Motivated by the fact that last night, Rachel and I did it. It was free, so we went ahead and put in the time, put in the work. We actually sat down and watched The Last Airbender, all of it. We watched the whole thing. It was pretty awful. It was not a good movie. No matter how you want to define good movie, The Last Airbender was not a good movie. M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong fucked that thing up royally. Let me just tell you that right now. The main boy playing Aang was not a very good actor. I thought that girl was a good actress. She did a good job with her part. The guy who played Sokka, he did not do a good job. And then the other thing is, what in the world? Why? I was lying in bed last night. Rachel and I were in bed, about to go to sleep, and I just started laughing out loud in bed because I thought, why in the world was that guy from The Daily Show such a major character in this? It's like, really, who's the main character in that movie? It was that guy from The Daily Show who plays Commander Zhao in a really weird casting decision. Like, who thought that was a good idea? I because I've heard it was so terrible. I just finished the cartoons and had watched all 3 seasons of the cartoons, and so I was interested in seeing it. I asked around here, and people said it was awful, and then I was like, all right, well now we have to watch it, especially since it's free on Netflix anyway. We might as well watch it. I got to see what makes it so bad. Well, the thing is, there was no individual specific aspect of it. I don't think Sokka's character is an ENTP at all. I think Sokka's character is an ESTJ. But regardless, there was absolutely just zero emotional attachment to anything that happened in that film. They were trying to tell so much story in so little time that everything was exposition. I remember there was one scene where Rachel and I just both started bursting out laughing. It was not intended to be funny. Where the Fire Lord asks the Daily Show guy, Commander Zhu. Commander Zhu goes and says, "Are you saying that you think my son is responsible for this?" And the Daily Show guy goes, "Yes." And then they cut to a different scene. It's like, oh my God. There's so much, like, extra narrative shit has to go in. Like, a narrator comes in and explains shit. And then the characters have to say these very expositional lines. Like, well, you remember how Joe went over there before and did this thing, right? Oh, yes, that's right. They do all this kind of shit. Right. Well, if they were going to try to tell the book 1 story, right, which is what they did. They tried to tell book 1. They needed to have left out any reference whatsoever to the library and tried to include the story of how they found out about the moon and the ocean spirit's location at all. Trying to insert that in there at all, it was just insane. Haul it back, Alan. Yeah, M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong really fell off when he decided to do. I picture him going, at the end of it, going, And there you go. And like the people who paid him to direct it going, done and done. Just what you wanted. And the studio executive's going, M. Night Shyamalan, ding dong, what did you do? Yes, I watched the last day. Rachel and I watched the whole goddamn thing. It was less than 2 hours, and it was hard to sit through the whole thing. I've never been so bored by such an action movie before. Dear God, was it boring. Cost $150 million to make that movie. Talk about wasting $150 million, right? That is a waste of $150 million, for sure. I can think of so many better things. You probably wanted a plot twist. It turns out that Aang was the Fire Lord the whole time. They pronounced his name Ong. Apparently, that was due to the child actor wanting them to call him that. Rachel mentioned something like that at the end. Or after, as we were going to bed last night. Okay, but what are the worst movies of all time? You can't pick every Fast and Furious movie. You have to pick one that stands out as particularly bad. I didn't find the last Harry Potter movies terrible. They weren't that bad, you know. They weren't great, maybe. They weren't as good as, 4. Goblet of Fire was genius. That was a great movie. Goblet of Fire is the pinnacle of the Harry Potter franchise. It reaches its peak at Goblet of Fire. It stays almost there for the next one, which is a little bit worse, but not much worse, and then it goes down. The first one's kind of meh. Second one's pretty good. But Goblet of Fire is the best one. It's the most interesting plottedly. It's the one that stands alone the most. The one that's the most interestingly plotted one. And I'm not saying I love Goblet of Fire so much, although I did, but I'm saying that it's the best of the Harry Potter movies. But anyway, we're talking today about the bad movies. Not about the less good movies, right? You know. There are some less good movies of the Harry Potter franchise. I don't think any of them are truly awful, though. Not like Airbender was. Airbender was awful. I would definitely here's what I would definitely put in the category of Last Airbender, though. Same level of awfulness. Aquaman. Aquaman is absolutely terrible. Okay, Hero Lamb, that's not true. Not every movie with a happy ending sucks, okay? Okay, but Lawnmower, even if you think all of them after 4 suck and are horrible, you surely don't think they're as horrible as The Last Airbender. You know? No, I think Aquaman is just as bad. In fact, I think Aquaman may be worse than Last Airbender. Because Aquaman, it's like, I didn't go in knowing Aquaman was going to be so awful, right? I had kind of high hopes for it. I didn't really know anything about it. I was on a kick of watching those comic book movies. It's so much worse than any of the other equivalents, even like the throwaway frivolous ones. It was just like, and it's so long, too. I'll tell you another awful movie, frankly. Though very few, it might win an Academy Award or something even. But Ford versus Ferrari was pretty damn awful. At least I thought the girl who played Katara was good in Airbender. But the casting decisions were weird, you know? like the guy who played Zuko, right? Think about this. The guy who played Zuko looked almost exactly like a young Indian David Schwimmer. I was constantly expecting Rachel to walk around the corner with her hands on her hips and go, Ross! Like, why put that guy? Prisoner of Azkaban was pretty good too. Um, you know what? Maybe my very favorite episode of the cartoon the Avatar cartoon is the one where they watch the play about themselves. That was a really well written episode. Really, really interesting. Alright, so other terrible big films. Now, what I'm saying about terrible films, obviously you can point to Tommy Wiseau and his film The Room and stuff, but that's not really a big studio production that just went terrible, you know? That's a guy, you know, being weird. I mean, the latest Ghostbusters movie was horrible. I fell asleep in the theater. I believe it. I heard horrible things about it, but I never saw it. Transformers 4 and 5. Um, you know, I'm not one who likes what I would call gratuitous diversity, but I really love the fact that in the cartoon um, of the Avatar, they make the rock bending badass a little blind girl. That Toph works so well in that show. You know, she's a really great character, and the character development in general in the actual cartoon is pretty damn good for a kid's show. It's definitely a kid's show, you know? That's the thing about Avatar, The Last Airbender, the cartoon, is that it is a kid's show, and as a consequence, there are some aspects of it that as an adult you gotta have to be patient with, you know? Like, it has that cartoon, thing where nobody ever dies. They always show, like, in the middle of these big wars that everybody falls off to the side and moans and groans and stuff. That you just have to accept as the fact that you're watching a kid's thing rather than an adult show, you know? Lord of the Rings is better than The Matrix. I mean, I've seen the first Matrix movie. I may have seen the second one. I don't think I saw. Yeah, she's such an ISTP. Toph is. She's like God's gift to little blind girly ISTPs. You know. And in the cartoon also, they do a good job of making jokes with her blindness, and without overdoing it, without beating it to death in the cartoon. You know, it's like someone's periodically, not too frequently, but just frequently enough, someone will say something like, "Look at that thing over there," and Toph will go like, "I can't see it, moron." You know. I thought that was, if I were gonna have a list of most successful use of gratuitous inclusiveness, then I'd put that one on the list. I don't like that tendency in modern stuff to have everything be so consciously, explicitly diverse and stereotype bending, you know? Like, let's have the gay guy act super straight. And let's have the African American guy act super white. And let's have the Asian guy acts super African American and be transsexual and in a wheelchair. How about that? It's like, okay, come on, guys. This is it's just silly. There's no reason for this. You're not being anti-groupist. You're just being pro a different kind of group, you know? Right. You know, like you're watching a movie about, you know, Elizabethan England or something, and they've got all the different races playing people in there to be diverse. It's silly. It is absolutely silly. But, you know, I guess the point is people complained about Airbender that the main characters were played by white people. Um, but I didn't think it was clear that the main characters were Asian in the cartoon. You know, there were some characters in the cartoon that were clear were Asian, and the but the north and southern water tribes, they lived like Inuits, or what we used to call Eskimos, but I guess that's a bad word now. Which is really strange. I can't imagine Eskimo being a bad word, right? It's like everybody knows about the Eskimos and their igloos up in Alaska and such. But I guess you're not allowed to call them Eskimos anymore. You gotta call them Inuits. Anyway, so they lived like Inuits, but they looked like Scandinavians, you know, in the cartoon. So there's no reason to conclude that, or at least some of them did. There's no reason to conclude that the casting of the the main characters by white people was bad. Okay, I don't have a problem with that, but it is interesting that they cast the Fire Nation as Indians, like from India. The thing is, of course, M. Night Shyamalama Ding Dong probably thought he could get away with it because he's an Indian, you know. But he misread how the shit was gonna play. I guess I don't know. I just thought it was poorly cast in terms of like why Eskimo is a derogatory slang, you Inuit pie. Oh, I'm gonna get an Inuit pie when the ice cream truck comes around. Uh, so, anyway, like, it wasn't so much that I don't care about the racial aspect of the casting, but I do wonder, like, why would they cast a guy who looks so much like David Schwimmer, a young David Schwimmer, to be Zuko? What about Zuko makes you think David Schwimmer? Nothing. You know? Well, I could not stop thinking, hey, it's Ross, every time Zuko came on the screen. Well, do you think I act very white? Because I'm transracial, so maybe it's some sort of default behavior. Why are we even applying race to a fictional set of people that do not even originate from the same Earth as ours? Why isn't Aang Asian in the movie? Guess what? He's from the air temples, not Asia. Oh. Writing off the success of Slumdog Millionaire? Oh, that guy was in Slumdog Millionaire? Huh. I act like a typical libertarian, but I lack the sort of whiny nature a lot of those guys have. Well, I'm a meta-rationalist. I'm not constrained by any dogma. Do you think there's anything to the idea of Japanese blood types as a personality typing model? How many people here know their blood type? Well, Winston's mom, all I know is that my blood type is positive. Okay? I put out a lot of positive energy because I have a positive blood type. Look at Chris M. He's always shitting on everything. Why? He's got a negative blood type. That's pretty convincing there, Lawnmower. I think I have the most common one, if I remember correctly, but I don't know. Who knows their blood type, you know? Isn't it weird when you get a blood transplant, literally someone else's life force inside you now? I do think it's weird that there are blood types. You can put some people's blood into you, but not other people's blood. That's weird, you know. I find that strange. It seems like you'd either be able to not put anybody else's blood in you, or be able to put anybody else's blood in you. Doesn't it seem like that? It's like if we took our approach to COVID to human blood typing, then only people with rare and important blood types would be allowed to get transfusions. that's basically the logic of our COVID policy. Yeah, okay, so some people can live normally and some people's lives are ruined. There, that's a good solution. But on what basis? Well, the completely arbitrary distinction of necessary. You know, your stuff is necessary and you aren't necessary. Well, what makes my work less necessary? And people don't eat those things you sell. Okay, but people don't need to go out to eat either. They could just buy food at the grocery store. Yeah, but we really would like to go out to eat some, so drive-thrus are fine. Okay, now you guys are just making this shit up out of nowhere. You know, I would even go so far as to say, I've been thinking about it, and I am going to go ahead and put 21 Jump Street in my list of bad movies. I didn't finish it. I couldn't finish it. It wasn't funny. It was very cringy. Elijah says, Eric, I was listening to my stepfather say the kids will never go back to school because every time the numbers spike. Brilliant. Right. Oh, phew. I mean, the thing is, this is exactly what I said was going to happen. I'm like, okay, well, let's say it does flatten the curve. What's going to happen when you stop the quarantine? This long of an incubation period and no symptoms during the incubation period and the extreme contagiousness of it and the total lack of immunity in the population, what do you think is going to happen? We can't stay quarantined forever. Well, I guess, that's where the Solomon cutting the baby in half thing comes in. It's like, well, let's cut the baby in half. Let's stay sort of quarantined forever. That's not gonna work. Now both sides are gonna be pretending to be happy with their half a dead baby. Avatar, the blue one, in stream. I'm not sure. Avatar blue people sucked? Oh, the blue one. Oh, okay, right. I forgot there was another movie called Avatar that had the blue people in it. I haven't seen it. I appreciate your advice. Um, I'm looking now. I'm actually looking for bad movies, incredibly bad movies that I can try to sit through. Um, I was looking on Wikipedia, and I want to talk a little bit about a movie called The Conqueror, starring John Wayne. Um, John Wayne, I mean, not John Wayne, but Hearst, that that really rich guy, William Hearst, right? Let's see here. I'm gonna look it up here. The Conqueror, 1956 film. All right, so this makes the list of worst movies of all time on a lot of things. Uh, and what's interesting about it, though, is well, there's a few things that are interesting about it, but the the film was shot in St. George, Utah, which is 137 miles downwind of the United States government's Nevada National Security Site, and received the brunt of nuclear fallout from testing active in this period. In 1953, 11 above-ground nuclear weapons tests occurred at the site as part of Operation Upshot Knothole. The cast and crew spent many difficult weeks at the site, and producer Howard Hughes later shipped 60 tons of dirt back to Hollywood in order to match the Utah terrain and lend realism to studio reshoots. The filmmakers knew about the nuclear tests, but the federal government had assured residents the tests posed no hazard to public health. Director Powell died of cancer in January 1963, 7 years after the film's release. Armendariz was diagnosed with cancer in 1960, killed himself in 1963 after learning the condition had become terminal. Wayne, Hayward, and Moorhead all died of cancer in the 70s. Hoyt died of cancer in the 90s. Van Cleef's secondary cause of death was listed as throat cancer. Dr. Robert Pendleton, then a professor of biology at University of Utah, is reported to have stated in 1980, with these numbers, this case could qualify as an epidemic. The connection between fallout radiation and cancer in individual cases has been practically impossible to prove conclusively, but in a group this size, 220, you'd expect to see only 30-some cancers to develop. With 91 cancer cases, I think the tie-in to their exposure on the set of The Conqueror would hold up in a court of law. So, in other words, it tripled the rate of cancer for everybody involved in making this film. But John Wayne was very poorly cast in the film, and it doesn't have much of a plot apparently and such. So I'm curious about that one. What was interesting is that after it came out, Howard Hughes bought all the copies of it for $12 million and then finally allowed it to be seen on TV again in 1974. Interesting, huh? So that's that. Yeah, tripled the rate of cancer. The the thing is, there's a few different factors. It's weird because The Last Airbender, it's nothing specific. It's no specific thing about it that makes it horrible. Um, it's a combination of little things, each each of which just works together to make it absolutely horrible. It's the rushed plot so that nothing ever gets a chance to be developed, the need for so much exposition, the bad acting in spots, um, the The Last Airbender. I'm talking about The Last Airbender. I am under grace. I haven't seen Avatar. So anyway, and yeah. So what are some of the other bad movies I've seen? I got three on my list at the moment. Um, 21 Jump Street, which I couldn't even finish watching. Uh, The Last Airbender, which it was so boring. Ultimately, it was just dull. It engaged me. Has to be a big real movie, like not The Room, not by that other guy who makes those horrible homemade movies. Like an actual big budget movie. It's no good. Battlefield Earth, I haven't seen. I've heard it was terrible. Let me look at this list of 100 worst movies and we'll get people's feedback on some of them here. Alright, so Material Girls 2006. Has anybody seen Material Girls from 2006? Travolta's latest exceptional film, The Fanatic. Battlefield Earth, I suspect, is terrible. I started to read the book, Battlefield Earth. I was always a science fiction fantasy fan. L. Ron Hubbard cannot write for shit. Alright, so I'm gonna go down this list, and you guys stop me when you've heard one. I'll read a few of them. We got Material Girls is number 100. Blood Rain, spelled Arayne, from 2006, 99. A Little Bit of Heaven, 2012, is at 98, starring Kate Hudson. A Little Bit of Heaven subjects viewers to a whole bunch of schmaltz and strands Kate Hudson and Gail Garcia Bernal in a fatally misguided film. Darkness, 2004. Says, yet another predictable variation on the hoary old haunted house movie. Darkness is an illogical, portentous mess. Alright, how about number 96, The Fog? The Fog is a so-so remake of a so-so movie, lacking scares, suspense, or originality. Did anybody see Speed 2, Cruise Control? Also starring Sandra Bullock as before, but with Jason Patric. Who was in the original Speed? Was it Tom Cruise? The Fog sucked? Okay. Speed 2 is awful? Okay. Number 94. Oh, Keanu? Yeah, well, Keanu wasn't in Speed 2. Speed was actually good. I enjoyed it. Speed 2 Cruise Control looks terrible. Okay, The Covenant 94, 2006. Flatliners 2017, 93, starring Ellen Page. Happily Never After 2006, starring Sarah Michelle Gellar and Freddie Prinze Jr. and Andy Dick. You don't hear Andy Dick names coming out very often, huh? Speed 2, you couldn't finish it, and you loved the first Speed with Keanu Reeves. You saw Happily Never After in theaters. Was it terrible, Lawnmower? Okay. Number 91. The Legend of Hercules. Cheap looking, poorly acted, and dull, The Legend of Hercules is neither fun enough to qualify as an action movie nor absorbing enough to work on a dramatic level. Oh, this looks terrible. This one. I always hate this guy's movies. This guy, I don't like him. Codename The Cleaner, 2007. Starring Cedric the Entertainer and Lucy Liu. Flatliner 2017 was a bad remake of a not great movie to begin with. Okay. William Dafoe. There's a lot of William Dafoe hating going on here. William Dafoe should play a mob boss in a movie with Trejo as a gang leader, and they should fight each other for territory in a movie. Codename The Cleaner, number 90. Alright, number 89. The Roommate. Devoid of chills, thrills, or even cheap titillation, The Roommate isn't even bad enough to be good. Playing for Keeps, 2012, number 88. Witless, unfocused, and arguably misogynistic, Playing for Keeps is a dispiriting, lowest common denominator Hollywood rom-com. Number 87. Vampires Suck, 2010. Witlessly broad and utterly devoid of laughs, Vampires Suck represents a slight step forward for the Friedberg Seltzer team. Number 86. The Adventures of Pluto Nash, 2002. Starring Eddie Murphy. Serving Sarah, 2002. A romantic comedy that's neither funny nor particularly romantic, Serving Sarah is a forgettable time waster. Starring Elizabeth Hurley and Matthew Perry and Cedric the Entertainer. Cedric the Entertainer is not a good bet at the horse track, let's say. The Whole 10 Yards, 2003. A strained, laugh-free sequel, The Whole 10 Yards recycles its predecessor's cast and plot, but not its wit or reason for being. With Bruce Willis and Matthew Perry. Godsend, 2003. Because I Said So, 2007. Overly reliant on caricatures and lacking any human insight, Because I Said So is an unfunny, cliche-ridden mess. Starring Diane Keaton and Mandy Moore. Number 81. McHale's Navy. Oh, you liked. Lawnmower says he liked Pluto Nash. Interesting. See, I'm interested in people who respond who've seen any of these and either agree or disagree or whatever. McHale's Navy. About as funny as a keel hauling, McHale's Navy will leave most viewers feeling they've been the victim of a particularly dishonorable discharge. 2017, Arsenal. It has John Cusack and Nicolas Cage in it. but number 80 on the list. 12 in 2010. As pretentious as it is hopelessly cliched. That's quite a nice critique of something. Yeah, Waterworld's got to be on there. I've seen Waterworld. It's terrible. Another one of those movies that's terrible is The Postman with that same guy, Kevin Costner. That The Postman is an amazing story. Okay, it's a brilliant short story, but they absolutely destroy it in the film. Remember Meet Dave? I don't remember that one. Okay, let's go on to number 78 now. RoboCop 3. It sounds like, Taken 3 has got to be on this list, right? You'd think. If you haven't watched the jump cut of Liam Neeson jumping over a fence in Taken 3, please do watch it. It's quite amazing. Okay. You can add RoboCop 2 to the list. Okay, well maybe it's on the list. Who knows? Number 77, Getting Even with Dad, 1994. With Macaulay Culkin and Ted Danson. The Darkness, 2016. Number 76. With Kevin Bacon. It's got Kevin Bacon in it, but Kevin Bacon couldn't save this one. Non-frightening assortment of horror genre tropes. Passion Play, 2011. Mickey Rourke, Megan Fox, Bill Murray, Kelly Lynch. It has a terrific cast, but the only question is, what are the stars thinking? Deal, 2008. Number 74. It's supposed to be a high-stakes poker action movie. It's got Burt Reynolds in it. But it's boring, it says. Number 73. The Haunting of Molly Hartley. Number 72. Down to You. Please do chime in if you've seen any of these movies. Number 71. House of the Dead, 2003. Number 70. The Apparition, 2012. Number 69. The Mod Squad, 1999. The Mod Squad aims for stylish, cool, and thrilling adventure, but collapses in an incoherent jumble of dated source material and unintentional hilarity. I don't want to see Deliverance. It sounds like too much FI. Okay. Number 68, Zoom, 2006. Number 67, Deuces Wild, 2002. Number 66, Half Past Dead, 2002. Steven Seagal. Doesn't surprise me to see a Steven Seagal movie on here. Yeah, Steven Seagal is pretty terrible. Okay, number 65, Fear.com. Number 64, Bless the Child, 2000. With Kim Basinger in it. And Jimmy Smits. Why does Jimmy Smits have a career? I'm not sure. Number 63, Jack and Jill, starring Adam Sandler. Its description of Jack and Jill at number 63 is, Jack and Jill is impossible to recommend on any level whatsoever. That's a pretty thorough dismissal of it. Okay. Number 62, Rollerball, 2002. Number 61, Battlefield Earth, 2000. Yeah, I like I said, don't think I've seen the movie, but it calls it here in the critics' consensus stunningly misguided. I like that as well. It's not just misguided; it's stunningly misguided. Oh, look at this one, Getaway, 2013. It stars Ethan Hawke and Selena Gomez and Jon Voight. Now, Jon Voight, I think, is mostly famous because of that Simpsons episode. I mean, the Seinfeld episode about that has Jon Voight's car in it. Number 59, Nina, 2016. Oops. I pushed the wrong button. Okay, number 58, Kicking It Old School, 2007. Unfunny pop culture reference. Starring Jamie Kennedy. Oh, see, Jamie Kennedy was good in, that must be his attempt to follow up, uh, must be his attempt to follow up on Malibu's Most Wanted. Malibu's Most Wanted, I thought, was a good movie. I really quite enjoy Malibu's Most Wanted. Okay. Mortal Kombat Annihilation, 1997. 57. Number 57 on the list. Number 56, Baby Geniuses, 1999. With Kathleen Turner, Christopher Lloyd, Kim Cattrall, and Peter MacNicol. Number 55, Strange Wilderness, 2008. Well, Cloud, please do chime in if you've seen any of these movies. We're going down a list of the worst movies of all time. Meet the Spartans, 2008. A tired, unfunny, offensive waste of time. That's number 54. Number 53, King's Ransom, 2005. Number 52, Texas Rangers, 2001. Oh, it's got James Vanderbeek in it. You know, he's the guy in Varsity Blues. Number 51, One for the Money, 2012. Dull and unfunny. Number 50, The In Crowd, 2000. Number 49, Crossover, 2006. Cliche-ridden sports picture. Number 48, Epic Movie, 2007. Okay. Now we are down to the 1% movies. So everything above number 47 has at least 2% or higher, 2 to 3 or 4%. But now we're into the 1%. Left Behind, 2014. It says here, it begat a further scourge of devastation upon Nicolas Cage's once proud filmography. Number 46, Disaster Movie, 2008. Number 45, Daddy Day Camp, 2007. Number 44, The Master of Disguise, 2002. Number 43, Alone in the Dark, 2005. With Christian Slater in it. You know, you don't see Christian Slater working that much anymore, do you? Number 42, Twisted, 2004. With Ashley Judd in it and Samuel L. Jackson. And Andy Garcia. Oh, now we're in the 0%. Dark Tide 2012, number 41. Number 40, Stolen 2010. Number 39, Constellation 2005. Number 38, Folks 1992. Which has Tom Selleck and Don Amici. Number 37, Police Academy 4, Citizens on Patrol, 1987. Police Academy 4 Simon Says, 1999. Number 36, starring Dennis Rodman and Jing Zhang. I didn't know Dennis Rodman made a movie. Precious Cargo, 2016, number 35. Starring Bruce Willis. Bruce Willis, your movie got 0%. Police Academy 4 was so bad. Desert INTJ confirms. Heathers is good. Rachel and I are going to watch Heathers one of these. Maybe we'll watch Heathers today. He got 92% on the part that includes the name, date, and period. Number 34, Max Steel, 2016. Number 33, Transylmania, 2009. Number 32, Killing Me Softly, 2003. Number 31, Merci, Dr. Ray, 2002. Number 30, A Lowdown Dirty Shame, 1994. Keenan Ivory Wayans. Number 29, Bolero, 1984, with Bo Derek. Number 28, Homecoming, 2009. Number 27, Highlander 2, The Quickening, 1991. Highlander 2, huh? Number 26, The Disappointments Room, 2016. It's a movie that lives down to its title with a thrill-free thriller that presumably left its stars filled with regrets. And does the same to the audience. Number 25, this is interesting. I find this one a really interesting one, okay? Number 25 is Staying Alive, 1983. Staying Alive with John Travolta. This sequel to Saturday Night Fever is shockingly embarrassing and unnecessary, trading the original's dramatic depth for a series of uninspired dance sequences. Oh, well, it was directed by Sylvester Stallone. Now, the thing is, Sylvester Stallone did a good job with Rocky, but Highlander 2 was really bad, especially after Highlander. Okay, number 24. Look Who's Talking Now, 1993. With John Travolta. Again, John Travolta showing up in this mix. And Kirstie Alley and Diane Keaton and Danny DeVito. Look Who's Talking Now, 1993, number 24. Number 23, Mac and Me, 1998. Mac and Me is duly infamous. Not only is it a pale imitation of E.T., it's also a thinly veiled feature-length commercial for McDonald's and Coca-Cola. A wheelchair-bound boy helps to reunite an Earth-bound alien with an extraterrestrial family in this shameless ripoff of E.T. Another thing that Christian Slater was in, if we're talking Christian Slater, Pump Up the Volume. Don't forget about Pump Up the Volume. Number 22, Red Line, 2007. Red Line has plenty of bad acting in fast cars. Number 21, Cabin Fever, 2016. Number 20, Shadow Conspiracy, 1997. It's got Charlie Sheen and Donald Sutherland in it. And Linda Hamilton. Remember Linda Hamilton? Who remembers Linda Hamilton? I do. Yeah, the National Treasure movies are watchable. I agree. Three Strikes, number 19. Three Strikes, 2000. Directed by noted hip-hop producer DJ Pooh. Number 18, Wagons East, 1994. John Candy is in it. Number 17, Problem Child, 1990. Mean-spirited and hopelessly short on comic convention. With John Ritter. They had a sequel to this. Number 16, Return to the Blue Lagoon. So, I remember the original Blue Lagoon movie because it came out when I was a kid, I didn't know they made another one in 1991. Who knew? Makes me want to watch the original Blue Lagoon. Something I saw when I was a kid, but haven't seen since. Number 15, The Nutcracker in 3D, 2010. What? Why? Number 14, Stratton, 2018. Number 13, London Fields, 2018. It's got Amber Heard, Theo James, Jim Sturgis, and Billy Bob Thornton in it. Number 12, Dark Crimes, 2018. Jim Carrey's worst performance. Oh, it says it fails to parlay a committed Jim Carrey performance into even modest chills. Number 11, Bucky Larson, Born to be a Star. It's got, in 2011, it's got Nick Swardson, who I like a lot, Christina Ricci, whom I also like, Don Johnson, interestingly, and Steven Dorff. I kind of want to see it. It's a severely misguided and inept comedy incapable of even telling its single joke properly. Wow, that's a harsh critique. I like Nick Swardson, though. You know? The Ridiculous Six, 2015. Every bit as lazily offensive as its cast and concept would suggest, The Ridiculous Six is standard couch fare for Adam Sandler fans, and must avoid viewing for film enthusiasts of every other persuasion. Jaws, The Revenge, 1987, number 9. This is Jaws 4. Jaws 4, you have too many Jaws movies. The Last Days of American Crime, 2020. Never heard of this. There's a fourth. Adam Sandler fans is just a derogatory term now. Okay, number 7. National Lampoon's Gold Diggers, 2004. It aspires to fairly level offensiveness, but the dearth of decent gags renders it dull. Number 6, Super Babies, Baby Geniuses, 2004. Another movie with Jon Voight in it. Number 5, Pinocchio, 2002. Number 4, Gotti, 2018. Another John Travolta movie. John Travolta is in a lot of these. I wonder who's the most well represented name on this list. Talking about the worst movies. Number 3, 1,000 Words, 2012. Starring Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy's on this. Removing Eddie Murphy's voice. Looks terrible. Oh, I see. So he can't talk. That's the thing. It's kind of like the Yes Man movie with Jim Carrey. Do you think it has to be Travolta? Travolta's on the list a lot. Eddie Murphy's on the list a lot. Jim Carrey's on the list a lot. Yes Man was pretty good. It wasn't terrible. Okay, so what number are we on? Let's see. Number 2, One Missed Call. One of the weakest entries in the J-horror remake. One Missed Call. 2008. And then the number 1 worst movie, starring Antonio Banderas and Lucy Liu. We've seen Lucy Liu. We've seen Lucy Liu on this list before as well. She's not necessarily finding herself in particularly good films. This one is called Ballistic X vs. Sever, 2002. A startlingly inept film, Ballistic X vs. Sever offers overblown wall-to-wall action without a hint of wit, coherence, style, or originality. See, like, this is kind of worth watching, maybe. It's got Antonio Banderas and Lucy Liu in it, so it's like a major film, you know. So that one might be worth watching. What I'm surprised is not on this list, but I think it's appropriate that it not be on this list, is Cabin Boy. Rachel and I watched Cabin Boy the other day, a while ago. And let me tell you, Cabin Boy, if you haven't seen Cabin Boy, I gotta say, I liked it. I liked it, but you know, it like destroyed the lives of the people involved with it somehow. Interestingly, who here has seen Cabin Boy? If you haven't seen Cabin Boy, I'd I'd like you to see Cabin Boy. You watched Ballistic a few times. Severed versus Evs. You watched it more than once. All right, Jay. Well, that's on my list. Okay, that one has made my list now. I'm going to watch Ballistic X versus Sever since it's on the worst of the 100 movies of all time. I'm gonna watch it, but so like here's a story of Elliot and Resnick. Um, we pitched some show and they bought it in the room, says Elliot, for TV. By the time we got to the parking lot, they got a call. There was one person who wasn't in the meeting. They went and told this person that it was Adam and me pitching the show, and that person said, "No, there's absolutely no way. I've seen Cabin Boy." I have seen Step Brothers. I thought it was pretty funny. I saw Grandma's Boy. Not that bad. It wasn't that bad. I agree. I'm with you, Omar, on that. The thing is, Rolling Stone film critic Peter Travers noted that for all the cinematic delights 1994 offered, it was still the year that gave the world Cabin Boy. I mean, I've seen most of The Room in pieces. I've never watched it beginning to end, but I am very familiar with it. Nightfall. Desert INTJ points out Nightfall might be the worst movie I've watched. Was made so poorly and they butchered Asimov's story. I remember the story. I've read the story. Um, so, I was surprised that Cabin Boy wasn't on that list. It's usually on those kind of lists. Um, and here in 2018, this article says the makers of Cabin Boy are still haunted with it. They spent much of their careers trying to recover from creating one of the most critically hated movies of the mid-90s. I mean, the thing is, I liked it. Huh. I thought David Letterman's performance in it was fine. I don't know. I don't agree with these people about Cabin Boy. But of course, Rachel didn't like Cabin Boy at all. Okay, so Cloud says you think your favorite movie in the world is Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Maybe I should watch it then. Rachel wants me to watch it. She's probably right. I'll probably enjoy it. Um, you know who sits through movies really well, Jade? INFJs. Yeah, ISFJs sit through movies really well too. No, Jade, you're wrong. You couldn't be more wrong. Both knowing types are receiving types. Scott Pilgrim is so good that I can stand Brie Larson in it. But Jade, I mean, think about it. Even you have to think about it a little bit, right? I've spent years refining and perfecting an understanding of cognitive functions. Now let's stop. Let's just stop with the TI stuff entirely. Okay, I'm gonna just stop with the TI stuff. For those of you who are TI, you're gonna say these aren't good arguments, Eric. Okay, that's fine. I've been refining and perfecting with my TI tool function. No, but see, that's the thing. I'm not becoming wronger and wronger because, as I've explained, my approach is to listen to everyone's critiques, and every time a critique is correct, to adjust my system to be less wrong. Okay? It's never going to be quite perfect, probably, but that's my approach. I've been doing it for years and years. Okay? So, even you should probably acknowledge, well, I would agree, Cloud. We can see that in C.S. Joseph, no problem. Time spent is not equivalent to wisdom. You're right. But what I've explained is that I use a specific approach towards. Remember, Jade and Cloud both. I am a professional debate coach. Okay? I understand how to make arguments that work well and ones that don't work well. And I'm objective about it. I have to, after all, be tested in a real zero-sum contest. In other words, if my strategy on argumentation is not as good as the other coaches, my kids lose. If it's better, my kids win. I'm a winning debate coach. So this is my professional job, okay? So at this point, Jade, Cloud, or if you're the same person, Jade Cloud or whatever, you need to take a step back, move away from your FI for a moment, your FI tool for a moment, and say to yourself this. Which one are you talking about, Lawnmower? You're talking about Scott Pilgrim? No, Rachel says she likes it a lot, and she thinks I would like it. But I've been a little hesitant because but this is a TI matter, Jade. So, for example, if we were talking about what's the correct decision in a law matter, a point of law that's being argued in a courtroom in front of a judge, okay? But Jade, listen. We're talking about making a model that's evaluated with TI. So if we were going to evaluate a contract, the language of a contract, what does it mean? And what does it obligate people to? We'd want me to evaluate that, not you. And there's a good reason for that. You're right, my model's not law. But the thing is, modeling cognitive functions uses the same cognitive attentional manner as does analyzing law. Okay? It's the same cognitive function attentional manner. Which is to say, we look for consistencies, inconsistencies. Okay, Jade, you don't know what you're talking about. When you say your TI has bad TE input, you don't even know what you mean. So, are you saying all my empirical data that I gather while typing people is wrong? That I'm incorrectly knowing things? No, he doesn't use the same TI argument. I'm not, as I said at the beginning of this is not a TI argument. Okay? I said at the beginning of this. Remember? I'm changing. For all the TI users out here, I'm aware this is not a TI sound argument. I'm going to switch gears to an argument that maybe Jade can understand. Empirical data is data that you can look at. It's external to yourself. Citing your sources is not empirical data. Okay? A citation may cite a source that themselves provides empirical data. That's possible. But when I say you don't know what you're talking about, are you beginning to understand what I mean? Cloud's an ESFP, like you. Okay, Jade, again, citing your sources is not. Okay, you don't. I'm gonna stop talking to you. There's no reason for me to get let myself get frustrated by determined blindness. I mean, Jade, I am absolutely sure that you will believe that for exactly as long as you want to, no matter what I say. Call Temple City Healthcare Partners.
Calling Optum Primary Care. City Office of Optum, formerly Healthcare Partners.
Thank you, Lawnmower. I will.
If this is a life-threatening emergency, hang up and dial 911 or go to your nearest emergency room. To ensure quality service, your call may be recorded or monitored. Please listen carefully as our menu items have changed. For medical advice, press 1 to speak with a registered nurse.
She didn't have one, Sky Gear.
For medication refills, press 3. For the status of your existing referral, press... Thank you for calling your Optum Doctor's Office, formerly Healthcare Partners. Optum is a top-rated medical group offering coordinated care to Los Angeles and Orange County communities. Learn more about our top-rated clinical quality at www.iha.org.
It comes from empirically verifying things when I type people, Jade. But you're right. My brilliant intuition is the source of why everything is, of all the good ideas that I've come up with. It's not the source of other people's good ideas. I've taken a lot of ideas from a lot of other people. I've taken the ones that work, right? But here's the thing. Now, Jade, absolutely. There's no sane person disputes that my intuition is pretty fucking brilliant. Sorry, that's how life works. Yours isn't. You have none. You have fourth slot, weak ass NI. So that's just how it is. Sorry. You know, it hasn't always been easy for me to accept that my intuition is as brilliant as it is. The thing that has caused me to accept that is that I have been a debate coach who's gotten national champions against other extremely smart NTPs. Um, the level of my success legitimizes me in a way that people can't really take away. I've had multiple national champions because I'm NI inferior. You don't understand debate or reasoning or argumentation at all. Debate's an intuitives game. The three best types for debate are ENTP, INTP, and INTJ. Remember, I'm a professional debate coach with multiple national champions to his name. My former assistant coach, Scott Wheeler, had the National Policy High School champion 2 years in a row after he left my school. So, Jade, no, listen to what I'm saying. Listen to what I am saying. Debate is fundamentally the domain of ENTPs, INTPs, and INTJs. Okay? Jade, but listen to me. We're talking about my intuition now. So my intuition is pretty damn good. I was hesitant to accept this and considered it unlikely because I am opposed to anything that would seem to be consistent with my own bias, right? I would like to be especially good at this, so it must not be true that I'm especially good at this. That's what it means to be FI polar. Okay, Jade, I'm not insecure about my intuition. I'm trying to make a point here. After many years of reality confirming things, I finally concluded that yes, indeed, my intuition is especially good. I know what kinds of arguments are going to be the winning arguments, which kind of arguments are going to lose. And I have to. I'm done with the false modesty part of my life where I just sort of pretend like I'm average. I'm not average. And when it comes to understanding abstract models of things, how to argue them one way or the other, I'm not remotely average. I'm extraordinary. So I'm making these kind of arguments not because they're TI legitimate arguments. These aren't reasons for you to believe that my approach is better. They're not good reasons, okay? But you can't understand the good reasons because you're TI polar. He's insecure, I can see it. You're the only INFJ I've ever seen. So I've typed hundreds and hundreds of people, spent an hour with each of them, typing them, asking them direct questions, checking against things, answering their questions, asking them for their objections, etc. Jade, I've done that more than the amount I've done that more than you have is enormous. Okay. So why would we dismiss all that experience? So I've got experience that proves I'm really good at dealing with abstract models and making sure that they're airtight in terms of their reasoning. I've got experience that shows you I'm really good at or collecting, having access to a lot of very relevant data. I'm very responsive to everybody's concerns and complaints about where my conclusions might not be valid, and have years and years of actually defending myself and my reasoning to people. I'm not, unlike C.S. Joseph, I don't rely on telling other people to read books or tell people to, nobody cares about your gender, Jade. Let me make that clear. Gender's arbitrary. Sex is a real thing and gender's arbitrary, so nobody gives a fuck about your gender. Certainly not me. Your gender is one of the least relevant things you could possibly mention. And why you would do so is beyond me. But see, the fact that you care doesn't make it relevant. Just makes it relevant to you. So, so yeah. Oh no, Jade doesn't care about me. I'm not asking you to care about me. I would like you to care about your words a little bit. Then care about your words. Care about having some humility and understanding that some things in the world other people might understand better than you. For example, your own type. Remember, type. What? Okay, running fox is. That's true. That's a false dichotomy. Running fox claims to be an INFJ, but I don't think it was actually intended as an argument like that. Okay, yeah. So we have the interface functions are ways that subjective types render their subjective interests into objective realities, or ways in which objective types render other people's subjective things, or their own even, into objects of analysis. FE is, though, about other people's, right? So, um, I am not hating ESFPs, Jade. I'm informing you that you are one. That you hate ESFPs is obvious because you are desperate to not be one. No, she's always said she's an INFJ, as far as I recall. I mean, maybe before that, I don't know, but I'm desperate not to be an ESTP. I mean, I'm not an ESTP. If I were, what in the world would an ENTP look like? You know? Okay, see, Jade, nothing that you're doing here suggests that you're an INFJ, right? Because one thing we know about INFJs is that they manage other people's perceptions well. You've not managed people's perceptions here at all. You say that, Jade, but there's no reason to conclude that. You say those things, but you don't offer any whys. And the whys are the things that matter. See you later, Running Fox. Yeah, I'm not asking you to use TE, Jade. I'm asking you to use TI to explain why. TI answers why. Even you know that. You said it yesterday. You said TI is if then that, this, then that, you know. You agreed that TI is logic and that we use logic to explain things, you know. So I don't know why you are insistent on trying to argue, you know. You don't know anything. How do you book a typing session with me? You can email me. The way to make sure that it happens ASAP is to PayPal me $100, and then and email me and say I paid you, and then I will book a session with you as soon as as soon as you want. My schedule's pretty open. I do have something this upcoming Wednesday, I think, not tomorrow, but the next day. Wait, today's Wednesday, right? Not today, but the next week. Well, that's a good reason to put you on timeout. It'll be interesting for Eric to type Jade and publish that typing video to take that debate on screen. Just saying. I mean, I did. Well, she said she loves killing the vibe around here. So, that's why I put her on timeout. And as far as I'm concerned, she's a she because she has a female name. If she doesn't want to be called she should choose a male name. You know? That's called being a reasonable human being instead of a complete douche. You know? I know, it's that demonstrative 6-slot FE of ESFPs is just horrible. As far as intuitives are concerned, no, I use reciprocal burdens. Just as I respect their right to perceive themselves however they wish, so too should they respect my right to perceive them as I actually do. Trying to get me to tell them use their pronoun is asking me to lie to them. Insisting that it's right for me to lie to them. That's not how I perceive them. Now, granted, we have a standard that says, I will call you by what name you want to be called by. If you want to be called Little Miss Pretty, then that's your name and that's what I'll call you. It doesn't matter if you're a big old dude with a beard, you know? But the thing is, that doesn't mean that I'm going to call you she, because I still perceive you as what you are, a man. So because people... Oh, well, okay. If somebody is intentionally calling her a dude because they want to offend her because she's a chick, then that's not cool. But she complained about being cisgendered, which means she complained about being called one gender. So that's just stupid, right? That's not thinking. If that's the case, or just not knowing knowing words mean things, right? If you don't know that words mean specific things, then you just use them willy-nilly. I mean, in what world do INFJs love killing the vibe, right? Oh, misgendered. Okay, fine. I stand corrected. Marge, I do remember that actually, now that you mention it. She did correct herself. She didn't say, she misspoke when she said cisgendered. She meant to say misgendered. And so, that's my bad. You're right. Note, Jade, this is what people do when they have TI. They correct themselves when they're wrong. This is why my system is correct, is I've applied this across the board. Right. I mean, I took it literally. I took it as, fine then. If you think I'm killing the vibe, then I'm going to be happy about killing the vibe. I'm going to take on that role then. I took it as that. She wasn't being facetious, that's for sure. Facetious is a gentle form of sarcasm. I mean, even if you want to say she was being sarcastic, to say she was being facetious is just being her defense attorneys without any care for the reality. Correcting yourself when you know you're wrong is purely an XNTX temperament thing. Exactly. Now, you might say, well, what about STPs? Not so much. They're not so likely to correct themselves. For NTPs, The thing is, it's a matter of what's the most important thing. It's the meaning. It's not the reality. And I talked about this in the last live stream in reference to getting the cup of coffee for Rachel. So, I made a pot of coffee. I made me a cup of coffee and sat down and forgot to make her a cup of coffee. And then later, in like 5 minutes, I was like, okay, well, even so, that's not INFJ behavior. But Jade, you don't easily correct yourself at all. You don't respond to anything I say directly, right? So you make a point, I make a counterpoint that corrects you, and you change the subject. You shift ground. It's the textbook's ESFP move. It's what ESFPs do. Yeah, but Eric, you're wrong about everything, so I can't conclude any reason you have. Well, you don't even provide any reasons at all. So, your reason is what? I don't cite my sources. That's TI polar right there. You can determine the correctness of arguments on their merits. You don't need to have an expert do it for you. How do you think the experts do it? It's like if we always have to cite our sources to defend our arguments, then what makes those sources' arguments legitimate in and of themselves? Just that they are sources? No. Who would you cite? Who would you cite? Why do I always dive into this? I don't divulge into this. I dive into this. Well, because ESFPs are good at provoking me to respond to their absurd, asinine, unwarranted attacks on what's true. You are good at that. It is a skill of yours. You have an ability to push my buttons in that way. Now, I'm doing an increasingly good job of responding in ways that make sure we are engaged ideationally in meaningful ways for everybody else. Even if you don't get anything from this, everybody else gets a lot from it because I'm explaining some basic concepts that need to be explained. But regardless, that question is an odd one. If I'm wrong about everything in an ESFP, why do I dive into this? Because you're wrong about this. And you're an ESFP. That's why I dive into this. Because I care about the meanings more than the actuality. Okay? Now in this case, the meaning and the actuality are the same thing. But what's annoying about you is not so much that you're making wrong claims and stuff, but that you don't substantiate any of them with anything that validates on TI. So that's frustrating for me because it's my TI tool function, right? You keep mistaking TI for something else and calling it TE. And so that's why I'm provoked by you adequately enough to make me actually respond. And your response is simply to say, I know what my type is, and you're wrong. And so, that's another indication that you're not a thinking type and you're not an intuitive. I'm focusing too much on the functions. That's what comprises a meaningful analysis of personality type. To say that I'm focusing too much on the functions is like saying, you're focusing too much on the engine when worrying about whether the car goes. Well, that's what makes the car go, Jade. That's what makes the car go. I know it's not up for debate for you, no matter what I say, right? This is another indication you're not an INFJ. It doesn't matter what the truth is to you. It doesn't matter at all. You are committed to being an INFJ. No, Jake, you've never actually critiqued anything about the engine. You just say it's whack. You don't actually say any reasons why. You just say that, though. You don't justify it with anything. That means you're TI polar. I mean, I'm committed to the truth, Jade. And the truth is, and has always been, I'm an ENTP. I don't just say you're wrong. I give you plenty of reasons already. But you ignore them, as you are now. So that's just how it is. Look, Jade, I'll tell you the same thing I said the other night. I will prove to you right now, you're an ESFP. Go into the room. I will give you some deductive reasoning tests, and you will fail them utterly. You can falsify my claim right now. You can it's free. Right now, for free. Come on. I'll take you into the. I'll put on the window capture. We'll see both of us on the in the room where autonomy is. I'll give you the same TI questions that I give every other person I test. Okay? They're basic deductive reasoning problems. I give you the same questions I give everybody else. They're questions from when I taught logic. Remember, I taught logic and critical thinking as a school teacher, and I made my own curriculum. I made up my own deductive reasoning problems. That doesn't invalidate them. They're still deductive reasoning problems. No, I told you this the other night, too. I said, Jade, listen, we can falsify this right now. You can falsify me. I'm not going to give you a full typing session. I'm just going to give you TI questions and prove your TI polar. Okay, let's go. This is what it means when you actually care about being right. I am offering you an opportunity to falsify what I'm claiming. Alright, so let me put the link here. Oops. Again, it's not a free. There's no need for any preparation. This is one of those things that's inherent in you because of your attentional stack. It's not about whether you practice or don't practice or your childhood or anything like that. This is much simpler and much easier to be determined about. And you know what? You could do well on this TI test and prove me wrong. That's the beautiful thing is you can prove me wrong right now. Okay, just waiting for Jade to come in here and prove me wrong. That's the beautiful thing about taking a serious approach to cognitive functions is that we can actually test it. We don't have to rely on citations and stuff like that. We can check. We have actual skills tests. Yeah, you could just be voice. You don't need to be on the camera if you want. So this is what it means to take something seriously, is to provide a falsification. Okay, come on, Cam, then. Great. You got the link. All you got to do is push it. And there we go. There's the room waiting for Jade. Now, because I've got the camera on over here, I may try to do it like this, kind of. I guess I could turn off my camera here and then I'd be able to turn on my camera there, actually, now that I think about it. It's silly, I don't need to do that. Just waiting for Jade, and we will prove me wrong. She's going to win this argument by proving me wrong. Hi, Jade. Can you hear me? Hello? Can you hear what I hear? A child, a stupid fucking child. That's how we used to sing it when I was a kid, you know. Can you see what I see? A child, a child. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to switch to that camera there. That's just not going to work. So, I'm just going to have to be okay with that. I'm going to put this guy, I'm going to put this guy up on top here. And I'll make this one small. TE. Oh, look at that TE. Eric's killing it with the TE today. That's actually Zaylin Black's suggestion. But I'm going to take credit for it. Sorry, Zaylin. I'm stealing credit for your TE. I need every bit of TE credit I can get. You're just going to have to live with that. Hello, Jade. Can you hear me now?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Let's ask some questions. So,
Okay.
who is my mother's sister's daughter's brother?
Your mother's sister. What's going on? Oh,
Turn off the sound on the stream. Who is my mother's sister's daughter's brother?
Your mother's sister. Oh my god, the echo.
Turn off the audio on the stream.
Oh, let me put my headphones in. Oh my god, I'm hearing this over and over again.
Turn off the audio on the stream, the YouTube stream. Just have the audio in the autonomy room.
Oh my god, I still hear an echo.
Alright, it sounds like you got it. Alright, but if you just mute the stream, we won't hear any of that.
So your nephew?
Yeah, okay. So, who is my mother's husband's only grandson?
Oh, that's my problem. I still hear it.
You gotta mute the YouTube stream.
Your mother's husband's grandson?
Only grandson, yeah.
Your mother's husband's only grandson to you.
Okay. And
it's playing through my it's my app. Jesus. There we go.
Okay. Who is? Let me ask you this: if some Badgers play baseball, and all baseball players like cheese, and some cheese likers wear hats, do some Badgers wear hats?
Can you repeat that?
If some Badgers play baseball, and all baseball players eat cheese. I'm sorry, let me repeat it. Let me start over. If some Badgers play baseball and all baseball players eat cheese and some cheese eaters wear hats, is it necessarily the case that some Badgers wear hats?
All cheese eaters wear hats?
If some Badgers eat cheese, some Badgers play baseball, all baseball players eat cheese, and some cheese eaters wear hats, is it the case that some Badgers wear hats?
Sure.
Okay. If only Egyptians build pyramids, and John from Ohio has built a pyramid, can we conclude that John from Ohio is necessarily an Egyptian?
No.
No.
I mean, wait, say that again.
If only Egyptians build pyramids, and John from Ohio has built a pyramid, can we conclude that John from Ohio is an
Okay.
Egyptian?
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. You are not an ESFP.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hooray.
Hooray.
Told you
Told you
that.
that.
I actually
I
thought I
thought
was
I
for
was
one
for one
second.
second.
You are also not an INFJ.
Well,
Well,
that's not true. But okay.
Okay, but so all right, let's find out if you're an INFJ. But good news for you, since you didn't want to be an ESFP, you are correct about that. Now you will note something, please. I checked against a metric, and you
Sorry, I'm
passed
in the middle of
it.
something. Bye. Have a good day. Love you.
I checked against
Sorry.
the metric, and you passed it, which made you correct. Why?
I mean, I already knew.
No, but
That
why,
I-
but why did I behave the way
Because
I
you-
did? But
because
why
you-
did I behave the way I did?
Because you have TI parent.
I have TI tool, right?
Yeah.
So
SU
do you
hero.
understand? Do you understand how this makes me more correct?
I mean, TI parents can be pretty incorrect. I mean,
About certain things, sure. Are there some areas in life where TI parent, as you like to call it, is the appropriate function to use?
I suppose, but I mean, you
Okay,
could
so
be
what
using
would
it-
one of those areas be? What would be an
you could be
example of
using
such an
it.
area?
I mean, because it's in the second slot, it's pessimistic. So you could
No, hold on. That's not what I asked. You're not answering the question I asked. I asked what would be a circumstance in which TI would be the appropriate function to use to evaluate something.
when you're analyzing facts.
When you're analyzing facts. So
Yeah.
not when you're analyzing personality type or cognitive functions. Is that correct?
Yeah, it would be for that too. But I mean, you also need to use
hold
other
on.
functions.
Hold on. Did I just get facts from you about your behavior with TI questions?
Yeah.
Okay, this is how I analyze cognitive functions. So why would I be wrong?
Sure, but when you analyze cognitive functions and type, it's very experiential. It's very like test focused.
It's very what?
Experiential. It's experiential. It's like you focus a lot on the test.
Very experiential. So what do you mean by that?
I mean, it's like you give people these tests to analyze their type. You don't really type them by what they say.
No, I do. I type with them about how they say what they say. So, for example, I would ask you at the beginning of a session, if I were having a session, is there anything you'd like to tell me going into the session you think I need to know in order to correctly type you?
Oh, that INFJ. That would be the most important thing.
Okay, so if you answer that, that would tell me something very precisely, right?
Yes,
which is
absolutely.
that you are more determined to be the type you want to be than to find out anything.
I mean, I'm here, aren't I?
Well, sure. You wanted the opportunity to prove me wrong by the TI questions. You probably encountered them before and knew you could pass them. Now, the thing is, you didn't get them all right. You got the second one was wrong, and
you're only the mom's. Who was my mom's husband's only grandson?
No. You're right. The third one was wrong. That's good SI.
What was the third one?
The third one was about Badgers and baseball and cheese and hats.
Okay, so if all Badgers play baseball and cheese, what about cheese? And all baseball players eat cheese?
All Badgers play baseball.
All Badgers. Okay.
Some Badgers play baseball. All baseball players eat cheese. Some cheese eaters wear hats. Therefore, is it the case that some Badgers wear hats?
No. I guess.
Well, you said yes, so you got that one wrong.
Okay. That's fair.
It's not just fair, though. Do you understand that there's truth?
I mean, I just don't care about questions.
I know you don't, because you don't care about it because you're not an INFJ. Third slot INFJ, third slot TI does care quite a bit about it. Hey, listen. I will also agree with you that your TI results are approximately in the range of third slot TI. So it's not an unreasonable conclusion to draw. Okay? In other words, third slot TI looks rather like your TI.
Yeah,
But the difference is in terms of strength or ability. But the difference is how they value it. Big difference. You don't value TI. It's clear. INFJs do value TI. Yes,
I
I
do
have
value
had
TI.
plenty
What
of
do you mean I
yes.
don't?
No, you just told me you don't value it.
If
You
it's third
just
slot,
told
then
me.
how do you? I said I
You
don't
just
value
told me you don't
the
value it.
riddles.
You
I just
just
want to
told
get
me.
them out of the way.
You just told me you don't
I just
care
want
about
to
stuff
get
like that.
this whole
You
thing
just
out of
told me, Jade. Now stop running from the truth. You just said you don't
Why
care
don't
about
you
it.
stop running from the truth?
Jade. Now we can be honest with each other. You
But
don't
we're
need
not
to
honest with
be.
each other.
You don't
We're
need
not
to be
honest with
dishonest
ourselves.
with me, Jade. It's time to accept some truth. Okay, dishonesty is
SC
not.
rage.
We are people of action. Dishonesty serves neither of us well. You may very well be an ESTP, even, but I don't think your TI is quite that strong. So I'm leaning with ISFP. You're definitely SE, not NE. These things are true.
I am an SC user because I'm an INFJ.
Stop resisting and listen. Understand
Resisting
that the
is the
kind.
INFJ way.
No, you're not. No, that's not the way INFJs resist at all. What you're doing is fighting against hearing.
I mean, this is how I interact with the SCPs, basically.
Okay, but Jade, no sane person thinks I'm an ESTP.
You're Chad, ENTP Chad. No sane person. I mean, CS Joseph is insane, I guess. I just don't.
I mean, yeah, basically.
I mean, just because like everyone's wrong with you doesn't mean like you're
No,
right.
not everybody. Hey, Jade, there's no community of people, no group of people, except for CS Joseph acolytes, that even dreams of thinking I'm anything but an ENTP. I am the textbook poster boy of ENTP for a number of reasons. I not only get angry at you for your wrongness, that's something ENTP or ESTP might do. That's true. That's true,
No.
Jade. But listen,
An ENTP wouldn't waste
listen,
their time with this kind of nonsense.
listen, Jade, come on now. Now look, I've also recorded and uploaded 300 or so quirky songs. Extraordinarily quirky. Not very much ESTP-like behavior. Okay? Now, what I think probably ISFP is a good guess. What we know is that Jade is not TI polar, so you are not an ESFP, Jade. Now,
Thank you. Tell your fans that.
But I'm telling everybody that right now. But note, the same reason why you can put faith in that statement is why you can put faith in the statement that you are also not an INFJ. Okay, so thank you for being here. Okay, well, listen, I know I won't convince you because you're FI near the top. Probably top slot, which means
if I was FI near the top, I wouldn't be.
Not what you think.
I wouldn't be like
thank
this.
you for being here. I'm done talking to you now. Okay, difficult person to deal with. She is what you'd call a disciple. Her answers are C.S. Joseph says. So this is what you call a truly lost soul. She's no longer interested at all in argumentation, reason, anything of the sort. Only in one thing. And what is that? What C.S. Joseph says. That's the determining factor. If you are that lost, there's no hope. Because at that point, you're talking about, no matter what I say, the answer is, well, you're not C.S. Joseph, so you must be wrong. So there's no point in discussing anything further with Jade at all. Unhealthy INFP, possibly ENFP, that's not possible. She's not TI polar. I mean, Jade, you say things that are just completely fucking stupid. When you say, you don't care about TI either, clearly. You're completely fucking stupid to say that. Like lobotomize stupid. Because everything I say and do indicates a strong instrumental valuing of TI. That it's how we get to what matters, the truth. Okay? So, you are. No, I didn't give you a typing, Jade. I checked to see if you were TI polar, and I confirmed that you were right about that. You are not TI polar. Look, her not valuing it isn't stupid. Saying that I don't care about TI clearly is stupid. And there's nothing wrong with me saying that. If Jade says that it's clear that Eric doesn't care about TI, that's stupid. And there's no other word for it. Sorry. And stupidity shouldn't be coddled, you know? There's no reason to coddle Jade's stupidity in this instance. You're not FI polar, stupid. You're just stupid. Well, I'm sorry for the name calling, but when you engage in abject stupidity, what do you expect? I am FI polar. You're right, Jade. C.S. Joseph is brain polar. S.E. Rage. Look, getting mad is not exclusive to people who have extroverted sensing, you retard. God. Of course I get mad sometimes. So does my dad. He's an ESTJ. Rachel gets mad sometimes. She's an INFJ. No, Jade? If you think SE and anger are the same thing, you're, again, completely fucking stupid. My mom got angry sometimes. She was an ISFJ. It's not rage, Jade. Okay, again, you get timed out for your bad diction. If you call this rage, you have no concern for the proper use of words. And you get punished for that. You have to care about words. Words matter. In no way, shape, or form am I raging right now. Just because I am being forceful in my discourse. Note, I'm being forceful in my discourse, not in my action. Huge difference. God. Anyway, Jade, this is the last time I'm engaging with you. You are bringing way too much negation with way too little justification. Almost certainly ISFP. What else could you be? INFP maybe? But I didn't feel... fourth slot maybe? TI? No. I don't know. It's got to be 6th or 7th. ISTJ maybe? Possible ISTJ would explain the poor FE. Right. Anger is independent of the functions, but FI is the function that observes emotions. So you're observing my emotions all the time suggests strong FI. Right. Words don't matter to her. Yet she uses them in a way that benefits her as if, wait for it, words mattered. Right? This is the contradiction. This is the lack of, no, she's not just fooling around. She was right about not being an ESFP. She's not FI polar. I mean, she's not TI polar, so she's not, she's neither ENFP nor ESFP. Now, she agrees with that, but still doesn't accept that the way that I came up with it is acceptable. You know? I don't think she's fooling. She's what? Not, look, yes, actually, Jada Lee, this is the important thing to remember. FE is about rendering other people's subjective experiences into objects of analysis. FI is about putting yourself in their shoes and really feeling what they feel and that kind of stuff. No, she couldn't have come to those TI answers. She did it verbally. She repeated it back to herself using SI, possibly demonstrative, possibly, which would be consistent with ISFP. Um, right. Freddie Forgiato has a sense of it as well. She actually still thinks she knows better. And that irks me more than Cloud's ridiculous nonsense. I agree. See, like this, Jada says, I think you're incorrect about FE and FI. She doesn't have a reason for that. It just, except maybe C.S. Joseph disagrees. She's a phony, pedant, petulant moron. Well, Annie Purdue, well said, frankly. I don't think she's phony, though. I think it's legitimate. I think she really is, you know. Yeah, I know Jada Lee is Jade. NITI doesn't piss me off. Again, though, you're framing things in terms of emotions. This constant attention to my emotions is indicative that you're definitely FI above either FE or TI. That makes you either ISTJ or ISFP. ISTJs are also very stubborn in their arguments sometimes. ISTJ seems possible because of the lack of FE, you know. She doesn't seem to understand FETI, either of them. So ISTJ is possible. Well, that's fine, Jada. Listen, I have said many, many times before, and you are another proof of it. I cannot type somebody until I actually type them. I need to spend an hour with them, talking to them, asking them questions. If you were to come in here saying you're ISTJ, I would have said that is plausible. A very fighty ISTJ, you know. If SI means paying attention to past experiences and also paying attention to bodily sensations, but it's categorized in one attentional manner as opposed to two. Because all attentional manners express in both real-time and turn-based realities. So humanity expresses in 4 fields. 2 of them are turn-based and 2 of them are real-time. Turn-based is the time frame that we do communication with. So when we're communicating, I say you say those things, and then I say these things, and then you process, and then you It's possible. It's possible Jade could be an INTJ. That's possible too. You could be an INTJ, Jade. You do kind of remind me of Raphael in a way. So real-time TI. See, you're asking me about what I would call the 2 hardest questions for me to answer in typology. What is real-time TI? AKA, how does TI express in the external physical realm? And then the other one is FI across time. How does FI express as a turn-based modality? Those are the 2 hardest questions for me to answer, and I'm not exactly sure if either TI or FI can meaningfully be explained in those modalities, okay? So that's a good question. The most important question to answer, really. But the knowledge functions, it's very clear. I can distinguish between the 2. So for SI, you've got 2 distinct... for SI, you've got 2 distinct kinds of knowing, each of which expresses accordingly in real-time or turn-based. In turn-based, it expresses as an archive of impressions of experiences, basically. Subjective impressions of experiences. Not actual, real, hardcore data, but still much more high resolution than, say, keeping track of... we got 2 kitties up in the tree.
Really?
Trouble and pee-pee. So, Jade, the thing is, I don't make myself look bad, frankly. That's a lie. So I'm going to put you on timeout. I don't make myself look bad easily at all. I'm extremely deft on my feet. I'm extremely articulate. able to answer questions in meaningful, concrete ways that other people can't answer them because I'm more right than everybody else. And that means acknowledging I had to time her out because she bullshit, right? She said, I make myself look bad easily enough by myself. But that's just not true. I know I look bad to you. Okay, that's fine. You can say that. We know about your subjective, your impossibly subjective frame of reference. We understand that. That's fine. Then you're not lying. Don't lie. Okay, so anyway, NI in real time expresses as timing. Like, for example, waiting for the buffalo to be in the right spot to pull the trigger. That's NI in real time. Pulling trigger is the SE part. NI and SE work together in real time in that very coordinated way. NI and SE work much more in a disjointed fashion when you're talking about the metaphysical aspect of it. So, NI metaphysical may recognize when's the best time to release a movie, for example, release a single. That's an NIFE consideration. INFJs would probably be good about that. Maybe INTJs as well. Which of these singles is going to be the most successful song from the album is another NIFE question. And those are using timing issues sort of as well. Like, well, given this moment in musical history, what's going to work is a relevant question. But there's also a timeless quality. Given the nature of things, what's going to work timelessly, it's also a timing question of sorts, right? So these are the metaphysical aspects, or the turn-based aspects of NI. The turn-based aspects of SI are like, later on today I gotta go talk to Mia. Oh, our friends waiting for a call from Cameron because we're supposed to plan something today. I should check my phone. Yada, yada, yada. Oh, that's right, I called in my prescription. And so I should maybe get a text later from the pharmacy to find out. Right. That's the thing. Jerry's not engaged me in any debate. She's attacked me in a lot of different ways, saying that everything I say is meaningless, that she just disagrees with every one of my positions, that there's no reason to prefer my positions, etc. But she's not actually made any arguments except to say that I haven't offered citations, which is not, of course, a reason. It's like, so that's, and that's the thing is, for INFJs, TI third is valued, which is why I have a lot of actual INFJs around here. Okay, but see, Jade, you want to mush the differences out. I'm trying to say, no, we need to make those distinctions clear so we can eliminate the wrong ones. So we're on different missions here. You're not going to find common ground by saying, well, maybe we can mush our definitions together. No, we can't. To the extent that yours are wrong, we need to excise them from the equation. And same with mine. So when I said you were a TI polar, you sure seem TI polar to me, TI polar, but you can prove me wrong. What were you able to do? You did, and were able to prove me wrong. Why? Because I'm engaging in honest intellect, not dishonest intellect. You're not engaging in honest intellectual engagement. It's dishonest fundamentally. I don't. I kick that. I say you are not ESFP. I am being honest. I do not still type you as TI polar. See, I'm not like that, Jade. I was wrong. When I said you were TI polar, it was based on my impressions, my subjective impressions. But we have a test, and you proved me wrong. You are not TI polar. See how that works? Yes, you're obviously TI backslot because you obviously countervalue it, which puts it either 6th or 8th, probably. Okay? Which makes you either ISTJ, INTJ, ISFP, or INFP. No, Jade, you're not. The same reason why you're not TI polar, namely the test proves it, is applied here in a less certain fashion. We do also know some other things about TI third slot that we can test against, and how it's valued is the most important way we can test whether it's front stack or back stack. So you're glad you passed the TI test, but what you don't understand is the reason you're not TI polar is because of the concrete empirical data that we're referencing against, namely your test results. The same reason you're not INFJ is because of the concrete empirical data we're referencing against, namely how you countervalue it. I agree it's not as strong and reliable as the skills test, but it's still the best conclusion to draw. And anybody who did value TI would agree with me. So I think we'll end with that. Think about that, Jade. Sit on that and think about it. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to eat plenty of cheese.